Licensed amateurs who can do so legally are encouraged to check in. We listen in the AM mode and transmit in the AM mode where possible. If you cannot transmit in AM, we encourage you to listen in AM and transmit in FM. If you are transmitting in FM, please adjust your transmit frequency a couple kcs above or below from our receive frequency. This facilitates the use of slope detection, that is, demodulating your FM signal with our AM receivers. When checking in, please announce your call sign in standard phonetics. Again, this is KC9UDX. My name is Matt, and I will now begin accepting check-ins. Any station wishing to check in, please come now. Well, hopefully I'm getting a signal out there. Not sure if I am. This is the 2 AM net. This is KC9UDX net control. If anybody wants if anybody wants to check into the 2 AM net, come now please.
Well, I guess I'll do it if no one else. This is here, Whiskey Bravo 9, Bravo Whiskey Papa.
Well, thank you, Dave. Recognizing and welcoming WB9BWP. At least I believe you can hear me. That's a good thing. Do we have anybody else? Come now, please.
W9JCC.
All right. Welcome, Frank. We got one more. Recognizing W9JCC, Frank. Do we have anybody else? Come now, please. All right. Well, I don't hear anybody. I suppose I'll try one more time. If there's anybody wants to check into the 2 AM net, come now, please. All right, hearing none. I'll start out by saying it's been pretty hectic here trying to get this going. I had a network switch die, which took us off of YouTube last minute. And today I did replace that network switch, but then I powered up the computer that does the camera work, and it would not boot. It would sort of start to boot, and then it would beep twice. And it, for some reason, did not occur to me until about 5 minutes before I started the net here. That's probably just a dead battery. So I blindly pressed F1 on the keyboard, and sure enough it booted, and well, then I had to scramble to get things working. And then I realized my fan is not running, which means my 12-volt bus is dead, which means I do not have the amplifier we used last month. And I have no time to diagnose why my Astron power supply on the floor is either not putting out, either not putting out 12 volts or how we're losing it some other way here. And of course, not running the fan means my radio is going to be a little more intermittent. But with that, we'll go to the top of the list. Dave, WB9BWP, it's your turn from KC9UDX.
Well, okay. I don't know that I can top those stories there. Nothing is easy. That's for sure. But you have a good signal here tonight. I don't know if conditions are. A lot of this summer, VHF has been quite good, should we say. Where I am, I can usually hear Chicago repeaters pretty well, but they've been coming in, even when I use the garage antenna, which is a 2-element quad pointed northeast from here. I can still get all sorts of Chicago machines coming in, almost full quieting. I can get the rebroadcast of the fire dispatch out of Illinois. So the VHF has been pretty good, and I guess it still is. Because like I say, the signals here, just for you, Matt, and Frank, sound pretty good. So if you don't need the amplifier, but yeah, you had a little bit of a hint of the frequency shift thing or whatever happens there, but then you get it back. Anyway, where do I am since last month? I don't know. There was a CQ Worldwide RIDI contest a couple weeks ago. Since it's only been a couple of years, I started really doing RIDI. I got to do HF radio. And even though now I'm doing it all in software, so the radio actually doesn't matter. But that contest has usually been on the weekend of Superfest. And Superfest was a week earlier this year, for whatever reason. And as a result, I got to take a shot at the contest. And it was pretty good. 10 and 15 is where I spent most of my time. I was learning 10 meters at 4 or 5 in the afternoon. So that's been really good. And over the last couple of weeks, I've been doing stuff on 20 at midnight. So some spots are really cooking here. Stand by just a moment. So at least I'm doing a little bit of radio work. And I see here in the spotting thing that's part of the logging program, United Arab Emirates and Kazakhstan are on tonight. Trying to think, how many of you have actually worked Kazakhstan in the last week or so? I don't know. I worked Lebanon last week, which was a first for me. This past Saturday, MRAC had a tour of the community repeater sites. I did not go. I don't know if you were there, Matt. Frank, I don't think you were part of that. It was 9 in the morning, so that was a good reason for me not to be there. But I put some of the stuff in there, so I know what it looks like. Anyway, I guess that's what's new or something worth mentioning from here. I'm sure I'll pick up some other stuff. And we'll shoot up some time there. So, this is BWP back to our net.
All right, thank you, Dave. Yeah, it's going to be kind of rough. Without that fan running, radio temperature is going to be a little high and a little bit inconsistent, and that seems to make this problem really bad. Someday I'll get to the bottom of that. And I did not make the tour. I did have to work. And I did not make Superfest, same reason. I've been very busy. In addition to work, my kids have all this after-school activity and stuff. In fact, Lorelei is at a color guard practice tonight. which is of course partly why she's not here. Otherwise, I don't know if she takes interest in this net anymore at all. She hasn't made any attempt to get down here and get on the air when I'm running the net, so I'm not even sure. And yeah, the sun has been very active, of course, lately. I looked a couple of times last night. I did not see aurora. I think we should have seen northern lights here at some point, but I'm not positive about that. And I did not look at conditions today. I suppose it has quieted down a little bit. But I guess there's another CME on the way. I guess I'll have to look at that again and see what the deal is. I have not been paying real much attention to that, unfortunately. And I really wish I could have gone on that tour. That would have been nice to see. But, you know, someday. And of course, I think somebody took video of that. So I'll have to see that if that's the case. And otherwise, we'll go to Frank, W9JCC from KC9UDX.
Okay, thank you, Matt. KC9UDX, W9JCC. Good copy on both of you guys. Matt, you're 40/9. Dave, 5 and 8. And you are breaking up a little bit, Matt. It sounds like you're correcting it as you go along. You must be able to detect it on your end. But copying everything okay. If I don't come back the next time, I'm expecting a call from my daughter tonight sometime. And if that happens, we'll probably be gone. Not too much activity here on the band. I'm trying to make the 40-meter AM net at lunchtime every day. Been pretty good at making that. Worked a little bit of DX. Let's see, when was it? On October 1st, 4th, and 5th. Made a few contacts. And I did get the Superfest, which was kind of nice. Our club had a table. We picked up a couple of new hands for the club. And as far as the tour, I didn't know there was going to be a tour of the repeater sites. I just wonder how many sites that included. I've been to the Viking site many times. I haven't recently, but oh gosh, since we started the club, maybe 8 or 10 times out there. And I think a lot of there's other repeaters up there besides ours. So I wonder if what other sites they might have toured. Kind of watching the storms down in Florida. I got my good friend Tom down there I went to high school with. He's on in Fort Myers. He made it through the last hurricane fairly well. And but this one might be a little harsher on him. I'll find out Sunday morning when I have my schedule with him on 20 meters if he pops in there or not. If he doesn't, I'll probably have to try to give him a phone call. So anyway, I'll turn it back to that. KC9UDX, W9JCC.
All right, thank you, Frank. And yeah, if your daughter calls, by all means, take care of that. We'll be here next month, too. And I'm glad you brought up the hurricane. There's something amateur radio related that's been kind of bothering me about that. You know, I wish I could find just a happy medium where this thing would stay tuned. It always, drops off. But anyway, I guess it doesn't interest me too much what's going on in Florida, just because I don't. Well, my wife has relatives down there, but I do not anymore. My parents moved back up here a couple months ago, which I never expected would happen until very early this year. But I'm glad they're not there. They'd be getting hit pretty hard. They did say that this next one is getting a little bit weaker, but still very, very strong, I guess. And the thing that bothers me is, in the news, they talk about how Elon Musk's Starlink network is detrimental to communications down there. They have no other means of communication, and that is their first means of communication, and that's a little upsetting. I guess I'm not in a position to do anything about it, and I'm sure there are plenty of amateurs that are doing their part, but maybe somebody needs to do a little bit more PR type work, because obviously as radio amateurs we are in a much better position to do communication in these situations than anything internet related. And as far as I know, the repeater site tour was just the site downtown Milwaukee. And I guess I don't really have any authority or other details on that. Maybe Dave can expound further. I read the email, but then I determined I wasn't going, so I did not sign up. They were only taking 30 people. I don't know if 30 people went or what happened. I really don't know. And I guess we're at the bottom of the list. Let's see if we have any more check-ins for the 2 a.m. net. Come now, please.
This is Kilo Sierra, Nina, Quebec.
All right. Recognizing KS9Q, Jim, welcome to the net. It's been a while. Do we have anybody else? Come now, please. Hearing none, we'll go right to you, Jim, KS9Q from KC9UDX.
Okay. Very good. Well, first, how is my audio level?
It's as good as I can say good is. It sounds perfect to me.
Okay. Sounds good. We'll go with that. Well, good evening, Matt at the net. This is KS9Q, and we just finished up with dinner. I made, Sue had kind of a difficult day at work today, so I made burgers on the grill and threw some pots in the air fryer and got that all taken care of, and it was pretty tasty. And we just sat, watched a little bit of TV, and I said, okay, it's net time. I haven't been down here in a while during the AM net. So here I am, and Matt, you're sounding good. Heard a couple of rough spots in there, but it sounded like whatever you were doing, you corrected for it right away. And I've been dabbling with a little bit of satellite stuff here and there, and doing a little rearranging in the shack, and trying to neaten things up, and getting some excess stuff out of the basement. That's been my principal projects that we've been working on. And I know there's a hurricane watch net on at least a week or two ago on 14.325, and I think 7268 is another frequency they use. So we'll probably tune into that as this new one makes landfall. I've got relatives in Florida too, but I think they are mostly on the Atlantic side and not the Gulf Coast side. But
Yeah, it sounds like this one's going to be pretty big. So here's hoping they don't get hit too hard, because it sounds like Helene kind of had her way. Anyway, that's all I got for this round. Back to that. This is KS9Q.
All right. Thank you, Jim. And I think my frequency is settling in here. I guess that if I get an opportunity, I should fix my antenna and at least do some listening. I guess this would give me a good excuse to take care of that antenna problem. My buckets that hold down the ropes that hold up my antenna, I had plastic 5-gallon buckets which have been on there for a very long time. The plastic finally broke and the bucket handles went up in the air. And I did buy some new steel buckets. I'll have to put those on there. And it's to the point now where I'm going to have to climb up there or something and put pulleys up. I don't have any pulleys. I've been just relying on the rope going over the tree branches, and that's not working as well as it used to. I do have some pulleys. It's just a matter of getting them up there. But I've got too many other things to do, so we'll see. And you mentioned the air fryer. Those things sure are handy for that stuff. I can't imagine how we got by without that thing. I guess the one we've got here, I bought it kind of early, and there's a lot better ones out there now. Hopefully you have a better one. Not that there's anything wrong with the one that I have, but the newer ones are way better. They hold a lot more food and everything. And again, we're still at the bottom of the list, so I will see if we have any more check-ins for the 2 a.m. net. Come now, please.
Hi, Matt. Hi, everyone. This is N9CXK in East Troy. Hope you're all doing well.
All right. Recognizing N9CXK. Carol, welcome to the net. Do we have anybody else? Hearing none, Carol, go ahead and take a turn from KC9UDX.
Okay, thank you, Matt. KC9UDX, N9CXK. Guys, I don't have much to talk about at all. I've been pretty sick for a couple of weeks here and really busy at work. Trying to finish up a lot of projects and things. But I did go outside last night a couple times. I saw the beginning of the northern lights. I saw an early stage of the northern lights, but I couldn't stay up. I guess the good viewings were around 2 in the morning, 2 or 3 in the morning. But really was happy to see some of it. It's been a long time, so I felt good about that. I tried to take some pictures. I got some kind of crude pictures of the beginnings of it. I thought it was the glow in the sky from Mukwonago, but it was the northern lights. It was more centralized and more west than the city lights of Mukwonago. So I have a little bit of that anyway. At work I've been just all over the countryside. I was in Sheboygan 2 days last week, and then up to Eden, which is just as far north but further west, and then out to Waterloo, and that's kind of wrapping up the real long distance stuff. Except I still got to get out by Fenimore, out by the west side of the state. At one station, I got to get out there. And Thursday, I'm going to Janesville. That seems like small potatoes now. I'll get that done too. And I signed my contract to get my boat taken out. I don't know when that's going to happen, but I'll be on the boat in the next few days, that's for sure. Get some last rides in. I got a bunch of gas and a bunch of oil, and I'm all set to go. So That will be good. My yard is as dry as a piece of paper, but we're watering as fast as we can, don't know what else to do. Just really getting terrible out there, but I have some plants that they're doing very well. And the neighbor has one big maple tree that is just beautiful orange and red, and nothing else around here has changed. It's all green. That's kind of amazing. I thought all the trees are under stress because they're so dry. They might have some colors, but I don't think we're going to have much color. We're going to have really subdued colors, I think, because there's no moisture. And that's about it. I haven't done any radio stuff. Hardly any radio stuff. Little VHF, UHF listening. I monitored all last night to see if anybody was working off the Aurora, but I didn't hear anybody on 6 meters or 2 meters. But I'm sure they were probably on FT8. So there you have it. I'm just talking to talk. I'll hang in here for one more round, I think, and I still have a lot of things to do tonight. N9CXK, over to you.
All right, thank you, Carol. For a guy that doesn't have anything to talk about, I think you talked about more than all the rest of us. That's okay. FT8. I don't know if I'll ever get around to figuring out what that really is. I guess I don't have a whole lot of interest in it because everybody's doing it in an automated way. That doesn't appeal to me at all. I have no desire to turn a computer on and let it operate my radio and go do something else. That doesn't just doesn't interest me. I was finally getting interested in the PSK31, and I guess hardly anybody does that anymore. That used to be the big thing, of course. And then FT8 kind of took over. You must have been outside before I was last night. I didn't get out real early. I'm pretty sure I got out there after I would have seen anything. I'm in a real bad spot. It's hard to see anything from here anyway. It's got to be pretty strong for me to see anything. If this next CME hits us, at least I'll be in a position, hopefully, to go out and look. The tree color. You know, I was thinking about that today on my way home. The trees were, they're kind of turning yellow. Not just like you said, not a great variety of color, but definitely turning yellow. And I suppose if we have the rain we need, or anything else happens, we'll lose all the leaves before they really turn colors, and maybe they won't. Like you said, maybe they won't turn colors very well. Sorry to hear that you're sick. Hope you're doing better now. I've had a bad couple of years here with allergies. Nothing has really changed. Although I guess I would say when it was raining a while back here, it was really bad, and it's gotten a little bit better. And fine business on the boat. Hope you get to spend some more time out there on the water. And with that, let's see if we have any more check-ins for the 2 a.m. net. Come now, please. Well, hearing none, looks like we actually got to the bottom of the list. We'll go back to the top. Dave, WB9BWP from KC9UDX.
Okay. I'll know Steve this month. I can hear Jim. Doesn't make the meter move, but I can hear. I got every word he said. And Carol has a good signal coming in here, so I guess everything's working. I did not go outside. You know, I was up at that time, but I did not go outside last night to see if there was any light show in the sky. Maybe up at the peak tonight. If I'm still awake. I actually didn't get a lot of sleep last night. This summer, or a little more than summer, this year hasn't been good on the orthopedic front here. After on May 1st, in fact, it was, after a day of some antenna work and putting stuff away, and as I was rolling a tool chest in, and going from the grass to the driveway, I've had sometimes ankle flops out on me, kind of, and I'm not sure if it did that or just what caused it, but anyway, I went down in the driveway, dislocated my elbow, so I did some therapy for that. Then my back started acting up, and so I just keep going there, and then, so they're moving on to different body parts. And so that's been my summer. Physical therapy and various doctor appointments. Even though my regular doctor retired, and I don't have one of those. But I picked one out, gave him a call. Said, oh, yeah, he's not taking new patients right now. After the first of the year he is, but then only one a week. Let's see, our first appointment in April. Yeah, okay. Go back and keep working on the list. Anyway, I sound like all kinds of other old hams. Remember, I don't know when that was, 2018 maybe. I'm sitting at the MRAP table at West Isle Tampa at Waukesha Expo Center. Bob and I be at the 513 table right next to me. Stand by. And then Nels, the WA9 GOP, comes by, and him and Bob start talking in there, doing, well, how you doing with this? Oh, I had this test done. Oh, and I had this removed, or, and they're going like that, and I'm just kind of sitting there. And Nels goes over and says, well, Dave doesn't have anything to add to this conversation. And I said, no, I don't want to add anything to that conversation. But they're gone now, and I could probably take their place. And enough of that. Yeah, I know there's stuff going on in Florida as far as nets and things go, things on 2 meters and such, besides the official, the Hurricane Watch nets on HF. But, yeah, generally, hams are just some 20 guys there. We don't get, generally don't get any PR for anything that we did. And the repeater site tour, yeah, that was what we refer to as the community repeater site, just because a bunch of stuff had ended up in there. Channel 10, 1836 transmitter building, when going back to the late 90s, I think it was, when they were still working out standards for digital television. And Zenith was still a real viable company. They were down in Illinois. They rented Channel 36 for a couple of nights, I think. To do some testing. They came, they put an antenna up on the tower, and they ran some big feed line up, 2¼ inch hard line. They finished their test, they took the antenna down, they left the feed line behind. And when Dave K9WXN got a job over there, he was like, hey, what's this stuff here? And they said what it was. There's nothing on the other end. They tested it out. Cable was good. Stand by once again. they ran it into a room which, as I understand it, when the city let, I don't know who actually built the building, if it was Channel 10 or Channel 18. Channel 18 built the tower, the analog tower. But part of the deal was the city wanted them to put a room that only had outside access that they would use someday for some radio stuff. And so when they built the building, they put in that room. And the city never did anything with it. And they still haven't even asked about it. But in the meantime, it got filled up with rats. And, when was that? 2002, I think. MRAC moved in as the first tenant. At the time, Navy Mars, which is now Air Force Mars, between MRAC and Mars, we provide the two VHF antennas, and we're the two VHF repeaters down there, along with receive sites for MSOE 513, FM 38. I'm not sure who all has receivers down there. There's a UHF system on the tower also. Over on the digital tower, that's the one with the white fiberglass donut halfway up. There's the D-Star system on 2 and 440 and 1.2 gig. I think there's a DMR repeater down there. ATC repeaters in there. Anyway, all that stuff is there. The analog tower is still there, still functional. The digital tower is actually owned by a third party who rents space to other people, but the school gets to have Channel 10 and 36 up there as part of the deal of letting them build the tower there. Dave can tell, the other Dave, as I refer to him, can tell this story better. And I'm probably talking a long time here. Almost sounds like I'm doing a program. But anyway, that was Saturday. And he showed him the transmitters too, which are, that's radio timer, because I never go in and turn it off. Because I use radio for FM stuff too. But that's it, I better stop. So this is WB9BWP. Back to that.
All right, thank you, Dave. And thank you for all that. It's fascinating. And I have heard you talk about it before, but it's always nice to hear it. It's just the perfect storm. Just an amazing opportunity. All that stuff came together just the right way at just the right time. Things like that don't happen often, and you probably never get a chance to do that again. And I guess I stopped taking notes here, so I don't recall if there was anything else that you said that I wanted to respond to. Other than you did mention the band conditions are good, and all I can really say is everybody looks pretty normal. Dave, you're about a 6 out of 10. Frank, obviously, you're 10 out of 10. You pegged the needle here. Jim, you're an 8, and Carol is 6.5. And I think that if I look back here, I have been doing a lousy job of filing these. I would say it looks pretty normal. But my 0 to 10 and my location is not a good good way to measure that. And I guess for you, Dave, it's hard for me to tell because you've done some antenna work since I really kept good notes here. But I will say that everybody's been consistent this year, which it's not always been that way. We had Dale AB9DW in here quite a few times this year. That is the most extreme conditions. Being able to hear him from there and him being able to hear me is that's as good as we can possibly get. And well, we got the YouTube thing too. And I actually thought earlier today that that would be offline for a long time. Fortunately not. I will have to open up that computer and replace that battery though. And next we'll go to Frank, if you're still with us. Frank, W9JCC from KC9UDX.
Okay, thank you, Matt, and good evening to Jim and Carol that joined a little bit later there. And Jim, your audio sounds good. If you can hear Dave, BWP, your audio sounds a lot like his. It's very similar. And no problem. Yeah, it's been dry, Carol. We cut the lawn the other day, but maybe to chop up a few leaves that had fallen, but my maple trees are loaded. They must have 95% of the leaves up there yet. And I guess we got to get some cold weather to start taking them down. That's why I'm so reluctant to put take the John Deere tractor and put it in winter hibernation, but not going to happen yet, I guess. Yeah, PSK, I worked there for a couple of years. It was kind of okay, but I eventually pulled all the digital stuff off. And had too many wires. I was trying to eliminate some cables and stuff, and I wasn't, working a lot of it. So I did some slow scan, PSK. My main operation is HF, and a little bit here on the 2AM net, and AM operation as well. And Carol, yeah, I hope you get well. It sounds like with all the work that you're doing, it's kind of hard to get well when you're not feeling well. You probably need a little rest there. And Carol, your signal is the same as it was on 10 meters, F7. You're on PS2000. Matt, you're 40 over. Dave, 5x8. Jim, 30 over. And Carol, 5 and 7. So everybody's good copy. Okay, I think I might make this my last run. I think my daughter's going to be getting back to me here pretty soon. So I will say my 73. I'll just listen for a little bit here and then I'll pull the switch. KC9UDX to take it. Let's control the switch, W9JCC.
All right, thank you, Frank. Well, I will say 7-3 to you. And maybe next time around I'll call you just in case, but otherwise we'll see you next month, hopefully. And I hope your daughter's doing okay. And I'll tell you what, I'm very glad that it seems like fall is kind of hanging on here. You know, you never know from one year to the next if we're going to have an early winter. And I am not ready at all for winter, not even close. And I'm glad that I don't have to be yet. Hopefully I can get everything put away and taken care of by the time winter actually comes. And PSK31 is very tricky for me with my very old gear here. And I was just getting to the point where I could receive very well and probably could have transmitted and made it work. And then I had a lot of antenna problems. And then I had a lot of radio problems. And since putting everything back in service here, I cannot get receive to work on PSK31 at all. And I don't know if that's because everybody has changed how they're operating, or if something else is going on. I'm not exactly sure. And I guess here in the near future, if I do get a chance to put my antenna back up, I can at least tune around and try that out again. You know, I don't have a modern computer here in the shack. I mean, technically there is one. It's underneath the table here. And it's just humming away. It's doing the camera stuff. That's all that thing is good for. It's all it does, and hopefully it doesn't stop doing it anytime soon, because I don't know what I would do about that. I've got the Commodore 64, obviously. Haven't done anything with that in a long time. But to do PSK31 and several other digital modes, I use my Android phone. And that it does work. It would work a lot better if I had better frequency stability. But it does work. And with that, next we'll go to Jim, KS9Q from KC9UDX.
Okay, KC9UDX, and this is KS9Q. Well, Matt, I forgot to mention one of my projects this last few months or so. I ran across a Narco VHF AM transceiver, all tubes. It was probably built in the late 60s, early 70s, somewhere around there, crystal controlled, and its primary purpose is for ground-based airband communication. And I used to work on these things from time to time, and when I saw it for sale at a reasonable price, I jumped on it, and had to change a couple of capacitors and most of the tubes. I did check the tubes on a BNK tester that we've got at work, and first I had to fix the tester, which had some issues of its own. So we got that working consistently now, and we're able to get reliable tests on the tubes. And I found some the tubes that were in much better shape, and we gave it a good alignment, and the darn thing's working pretty good. I didn't even know if it's legal to put it on the air, but I just wanted it for a fun project that's actually in good shape, that looks nice, and so I had the object of the game was to have some fun with something vintage, and mission accomplished. So other than that, yeah, a little antenna work slated for the next couple of weeks or so. I have a high gain A3S, which is in fairly poor condition. But I happened to buy a set of traps, 10-meter traps, for a high gain. It was intended for a high gain 10 and 15-meter antenna. And I started comparing the sizes of the tubing between the two antennas, and they're identical. So the plan is to use the tubing that I have already cleaned up, plus these new traps, and turn it into a 3-element beam if I can get it up on the tower before the snow flies. So that's the plan with that particular antenna. And let's see, I don't know if I have a timer built into this radio or not, but I think that's good for this round. Back to net. This is KS9Q.
All right, thank you, Jim. And if you wait till the snow is flying to put that antenna up, you gain 3 decibels just for putting it up in the winter. And I can relate to the tube tester thing. I have 3 of them here that I use. I have a couple others. One of them is one that my dad built. My dad did a radio repair correspondence school thing at some point, and I have all of his stuff. And one of the things that he built was a tube tester. It's a strange design, and it definitely fits the part of being a kit like that. It has minimal parts, but it can do a lot of stuff. But it's very, very cumbersome to operate. And then I've got one of these big testers that you would find just about everywhere anybody would sell tubes, up until the mid-'80s probably. Used to see these things all over the place. What is mine? I think it's a Sears. Yeah, it's a Sears branded one. It's obviously not made by Sears or anything to do with Sears, but it apparently was in a Sears store somewhere. And that thing is designed, I think all of these retail operating ones, they're designed so that you can tweak the readings to make good tubes look bad. And I don't have any instructions for it. So all I've ever done is I compare readings from one tester to the next, and sometimes I'll tweak that one to make it look a little more realistic. I've got a very expensive, fancy tube tester. I cannot remember the name. Everybody's seen these. It starts with an S. Very, very well-respected brand. I'll remember the name, after the net here when it doesn't matter anymore. It's above my head here. Former coworker of mine gave it to me. That was a very generous thing. It's a very nice tube tester. But it too doesn't, between the 3 of these, not one of them will test all of the tubes that I have. None of them will test most of the transmitting tubes, obviously, but at least not the high power ones. They'll all test sweep tubes, of course, but not one of them will test every tube that I have. Each one of them will do some that the other ones will not, which is kind of interesting. But I don't have an absolute way to test them. It's all relative. I compare readings between the testers, and of course, if I put a tube in something and it works, it just works. That's, in my opinion, a better test usually anyway. Obviously, it's not going to be optimal, but that's if it works, it works. And I wonder if you could get a crystal and get that narco here on the 2 a.m. net. Of course, I don't know, like you said, if it's legal otherwise, but it would sure be legal for that, if you can tune it that far. And that would be pretty neat. I wonder if Gary W9TOF has made any more progress with that Helicrafters radio. Have to find out one of these days. I suppose I could email him. He is, I would assume, very busy. We've been having very good horseback riding weather. I expect. I don't really know. So I would assume he's very busy doing that stuff. And I suppose I'll just keep talking here unless we move along. So, Carol, it's your turn again, N9CXK from KC9UDX.
Suncor KS9Q.
Go ahead, Jim.
Let me see if I got it here. Matt, was that a Suncor?
Absolutely. It was on the tip of my tongue, and you nailed it. Thanks, Jim.
Roger that. Over to Carol. Yes, thank you.
Fine. Yeah, Jim, you're sounding good out here tonight. You're about an S8 or so. Not bad at all. I think conditions are nice. And Matt, you're sounding pretty awake tonight compared to some of the other nets we've had. And I would say you're on the VFO, and it's doing a great job. It's just it's humming right along. None of the fading audio and stuff that we had with Crystal. So maybe that's going to work for you through the winter. Keep it nice and temperate over there, and you'll be okay. And I don't know what people were talking about. I think the last digital I was really doing was packet through the space station and stuff. I kind of gave up on that. It was just a lot of chords and wasn't using it that much, and I didn't have that much time for the radio. So I'm hoping to. I guess this radio here, the 991, all I have to do is plug my USB cable into it, plug it into my laptop, and bring up whatever that program is, WSJT, and I should be able to do some stuff, but it'll take a little sitting down and thinking about it. So I'm ready to do that when it's time. And I kind of loved Packet once I learned how it worked and how to fiddle around with it and stuff. That was okay. So maybe I'll get into FT one of these days. I'm hoping to have a little more free time in the future here, so that'll be good. And I'm looking at my watt meter, and it's telling me just about what it should. Because I think this radio is only supposed to do about 20 watts. So that looks about like where we are. So yeah, everybody sounds pretty normal to me. I don't hear anything extra or unusual, and Steve is notably absent. But this way I'm able to keep my volume up a little higher. That's good. And I'm just been all over the countryside. I have been picking up pumpkins and things for my wife, and she's really gotten things decorated around here. I got a few more outside spinning lights and stuff I want to get up. Might have to actually break down and buy some nice, subtle-looking extension cords. Not the white ones or the yellow ones. I think we'll go for something a little more subdued. And get some of these lights up. And Dave, you didn't hit the 3-minute mark. I guess you were keeping track. I'm not keeping track, but here we go. Okay, just in case. I only do that once in a while. So, so doing a little more police scanner listening. Walworth County has got a new radio system for the whole county. It's about, I don't know where it is, halfway done. I think all the base stations and antennas and towers are up. They put up a lot of new towers all over the county. And I guess it's going to be a 7 and 800 megahertz trunk system, digital. But we should be able to hear that with our scanners still. So I'm pretty excited that we'll just have to wait for Radio Reference to come up with the scoop, and can download it. Other than that, I don't know. Yeah, my car's in the shop. It was going to be done today, but the part they put in didn't seem any better than the first one, so they're going to try it again tomorrow morning. And I'm driving my little 1988 pickup truck, and it's quite the adventure. Doesn't go fast. It does stop good. Chugs a little bit, but really I got all my stuff in there, and I had to haul into Milwaukee and back, and that's a trip for that little truck. So I'm real happy that that's okay. Now we have some more things to plant this year. I got a tree to plant yet, a big one, or a reasonable sized tree to plant on the lot line between me and the neighbor. We agreed on what it was and where it was going to be, so I got to get it up there and dig a BFH, and then we can get her going. So not too much else. I think at this house I don't have to do a lot of things to get ready for winter, thank goodness. I rely on other people to get the boat and the dock out of the water and put it away. And it doesn't look like I'm going to get my tough shed built down by the water this year. But that's okay. They stacked up here right where we're going to put the shed, so I think that would all work out kind of badly. I'm going to try not to worry about that. I know my wife wanted it, but we can do that in the spring. It's not a problem at all. No, I guess I have to admit I've been getting back into watching Star Trek now. We got Paramount Plus. That's where all the Star Trek stuff is. So I just started working my way through some of the series that I've never seen before, and it's pretty good. It's pretty good stuff. Better than anything else I'm finding on the TV these days. So, and let's see, this isn't the net where we talk about what we're going to have for dinner or what we had for dinner, so that's good. Matt, I think I'm going to make this my final here. I'm getting tired already. I am better. I am much better. I actually lost about 20 pounds, I think, and I am going to work really hard to keep that off because I don't need it for anything. So, yeah. I existed for a couple of weeks there on ramen noodles and all kinds of different drinks, and that's about it. So I just started, really yesterday, today, I just started eating real food again. Got to make sure I don't eat as much as I did before. Yeah, KC9UDX, and the rest of you is N9CXK. Everybody have a good rest of the week. I'm sure I'll hear some of you then, and thanks for having me in 7-3.
All right, thank you, Carol. We'll say 7-3 to you. Maybe we'll see you next month, hopefully. Hear you anyway. Yeah, I could use to lose about 20 pounds too, or more. I have not weighed myself in years, but I have got to be as heavy as I've ever been. I was probably close to this weight around 20 years ago, but I may be a little bit bigger than now than I was then. I don't know. My biggest issue is exercise. I work too much, so I don't get any exercise. And I may have misheard you. I think you said your pickup truck is from 1980. If that's so, you've got me beat. Mine is 1988. And it runs really bad. That engine is just plain tired, for one. The valve seals are really bad. It smokes like you wouldn't believe. But I don't have the ambition to take the valve covers off of that and try to replace those valve seals. That's opening a can of worms I do not want to open. That engine is way, way beyond its normal life. But I think it's got some fuel injection type problems, and it actually it runs like a very poorly tuned carburetor, very dirty, poorly tuned carburetor, but it is fuel injected. It's very obnoxious. Every time you put your foot in it and you think you're going to go, then it just pukes out and backfires. But it serves its purpose. It gets me to work when I need it, and I can haul things when I need to, which is not all that often. But that's a 1988. My regular daily driver is a little bit newer. It's a 1990 little 4-cylinder Cherokee, and that is doing pretty well. I did find out today that I have no brake lights, which I have been watching that, and it's a very recent thing here. So unfortunately, I caught it not in a position to do anything about it. I was not at home, so I've got to take care of that before I take that out again. And I expect it's a corroded fuse. The fuses in the interior of that vehicle, for whatever reason, are seriously corroded. and I have cleaned up a bunch of them, but probably not all of them. So hopefully that takes care of that. Well, that Walworth County radio system, I'm very glad to hear that that is not encrypted. We've gotten to a point, finally, where all of that encrypted stuff has been cracked, which I'm very happy about. And it makes me want to actually get into that and decode that stuff and listen. Not that I care to listen to that stuff, but I think that's disgusting that our taxes get spent on public servants that try to keep things secret from us. That's not right. I fully understand why they do it, but I think that's the wrong way to go about that. And I think that's just plain wrong. So I'm glad to hear that this new system is in the clear. I'll have to get a scanner plugged in here again. My older son, he really likes listening to that, so I should do that anyway. And with that, we are getting a little bit late here, but let's see if we have any more check-ins for the 2 a.m. net. Come now, please. Hearing none, hope there's nobody in the weeds that only Steve would normally hear. Oh, and Carol, if you're still listening, I have not turned on the VFO tonight. When I found out the fan was not running, I decided not to turn that on. That generates extra heat. It's all tubes, and it's too close proximity to the hot part of the radio. So I opted to leave that turned off, and I am running on the crystal. And this is the funny thing is, because I'm not running the fan, now the temperature probably is consistently very high, and yeah, it's hot to the touch. So it's working, and that usually works, but not always. And that's why I run the fan, because usually with the fan, I have better results. Ideally, I would build a little crystal oven, something to wrap around that crystal to keep it at a consistent temperature. I think that would solve the problem completely. But maybe not. I don't get enough time to play around with this stuff to really figure that out. Anyway, we'll go back to the top. Excuse me, the top of the list. Oh, and incidentally, I am wide awake tonight, only because I took about an hour nap before the net. Dave, it's your turn again. WB9BWP from KC9UDX.
Matt?
Go ahead, Carol.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that my truck is a 1988 Ford Ranger. Absolutely basic, no power or anything, 5-speed on the floor, and it has 78,000 miles on it.
All right, very good. Yeah, mine is a 88 K1500. It's the very first year for GMT 400, and it's very different than the following years. But otherwise, it's just like what you got there. I have no power anything. It was radio delete. It's got a radio in it now. When I put in there, somebody else had put one in too, but it didn't work. 5-speed, 6-cylinder. Only I am over 200,000 miles. And if you ever saw this truck, it's if I hadn't bought it, it would be in a scrapyard by now. But that's the way I'm always the last owner of vehicles. Anyway, I'll let you go again here, Carol, and then we'll go back to Dave. Carol, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. My truck just keeps moving along, and yeah, it really has 78,000 miles on it. So It needs to just have the carburetor replaced on it. It's a carburetor that is not adjustable, and everybody says just go on Amazon or something and buy the carburetor and throw it on and you'll be happy. Because it doesn't idle. It idles really bad. Kind of chugs. Once you get it up on the highway, it runs right along. But just doesn't like idling around. So everybody, take care. Glad to hear y'all. Everybody's sounding great. 73 N9CXK.
All right, 7-3 Carol, and I agree. Replace that carburetor and you'll be happy, but if you don't replace it, get a can of good carburetor cleaner and spray that right down in the vent, and do this with the vehicle not running, and then unload that entire can into that vent, and then fire it up, and it's going to be flooded because you just displaced all that fuel. But if you do that, it would probably clean out the idle passages in there. That's been my experience. I've had very good success doing that. Of course, if you can find, if there are air bleeds, which you probably can't find them if there are any, if you can spray in the air bleeds, that's even better. But usually just completely filling up that float bowl with carb cleaner will take care of that. But yeah, a replacement carburetor is probably not that expensive, and it would certainly take care of that problem. You're lucky that you have a carburetor. You don't have to deal with the fuel injection problems that I have. Anyway, Dave, I've been keeping you a while here, so WB9BWP from KC9UDX.
Oh, that's okay. I've been talking a bunch here tonight. Let's see. And a couple things on the list. The encrypted and not encrypted, public service type stuff. There's encrypted, and then you could do things like Milwaukee when they went to their open sky thing, which doesn't matter what it is because nothing can receive it. Quite often, even their own equipment can't receive it. Anyway, and Carol mentioned about extension cords. A few years ago, there was an auction. He actually was a club member, passed away, James Zabel. He had lived in Brookfield. He retired. He moved out to, this was somewhere a little past Kewaskum, or right around Kewaskum. I don't remember exactly where it was. He put up, he got some land. It was up on a hill. I mean, it was up on a hill. We stood there and looked out, and you could look over all the surrounding area. He put up multiple towers. Anyway, they auctioned off a lot of stuff, and he had an entire trailer, I don't know about the size of a boat trailer maybe, full of extension cords, most of them brand new, still in the packaging. He also had about 1 million light bulbs that they kept pulling out of everywhere, but I always remember the trailer full of extension cords. I don't think we actually stuck around long enough to see what those things went for. And FT8, but I do some FT8. I barely know enough to make it work. Don't ask me for any explanation. You could do I always give him grief for that WNTUI. He'll check into a 2-meter net, and he'll be talking along here, and then he'll say, hey, I just worked this country, because he's got his HF radio cranking out FT8 stuff and making contact like crazy. And I always give him grief, well, when are you actually going to work these people? I have 46 states worked on 160 meters, and I fired up. I finally got FT8 running one day, and I went down there, and the first night I worked 2 of the 4 missing states, and then I'm like, boy, do I count those or not? no, the time of beat me again. Anyway, so that's my thing there. When I got a new HF radio a couple of years ago, I could do a radio with it by plugging in a keyboard, and I actually did a couple of contests running two keyboards, one on the radio, one on the computer to do the logging and stuff. Now I am running software on the computer, so I could be doing that with any radio. But the radio stuff is really interesting. The contest, you just feel kind of more relaxed. And I found that inside of 2 years I did work all states on RIDI. And my country total is now like 66 or something like that. On Jim mentioning the narco radio, I just was reading, and I don't remember where, but they were talking about some amplifiers, some narco amplifiers for 220. They required very little work, if anything, really. And there's actually was one guy who was refurbishing. He got a bunch of them. He was refurbishing them, and he was sending them around the country to various stations to run power on 220. And hey, that covered everything on my list. And yes, it is getting a little late, and I got stuff I got to do too. And it's been a good net. It's always a good net here. And also, I'll say 73, since everybody's dropping off anyway. And hey, there's nothing else, that will be back next month. There's an MRAC meeting, not this Saturday, but next Saturday. I think it's on RFI stuff. I'm not sure exactly what they're going to be covering with regards to that. But anyway, meeting next week. Not sure if I'll make it to that either, just because of my situation here lately. Anyhow, 73 to everybody that's still got a radio running. It's great that you do this net every month here, Matt. And as long as you're doing it, I'll do everything I can to be here. This is WP9, CWP.
All right, thank you, Dave. And of course, we do appreciate you being here as well. So, between you and Frank being here when nobody else has been here so many times, you guys keep the net going more than I do. A lot of people have come and gone over the years. But I think, Dave, you've been here more than anybody else. I guess I could compile all this information and determine that for sure, but I think that's what it is. And now I was going to comment on something else you said, and I don't recall what it was, and I neglected to write it down for some reason. And I'll think of it again here when it's too late. I guess one thing I forgot to mention about the extension cords earlier, probably doesn't matter anymore, but I used to be in a position where I had to deal with extension cords on the shop floor and have the fire inspector come through and write us up for all the extension cords. And there's some situations where you just cannot get away from running permanent extension cords, unfortunately. I know everybody believes that you could run something else more permanent, but you just can't. You just can't always do that. So there are times when you need to have an illegal extension cord, and of course if you have a black one instead of an orange or yellow one, the fire inspector never even notices. And a lot of times it looks like other equipment anyway. But that's my comment on the extension cords. And I guess we'll see if Frank is still with us. Probably not, but if you're here, Frank, go ahead. W9JCC from KC9UDX. All right, hearing none. Frank did sign out. Just wanted to make sure. But Jim, it's just you and I. I'll send it over to you. And if you want to call it a night, then go ahead. But otherwise, I'm here as long as we need to be. KS9Q from KC9UDX.
All right, Matt. Sounds good. Well, I am about ready to call it a night. Head upstairs and see if Sue's got anything she needs done, or if she's getting ready to call it a night herself. But good hearing everybody tonight. Good copy on everyone, and the conditions seem pretty decent. Glad I remembered that was tonight. So we'll say 7-3. Have fun, and we will catch up with you next month. KC9UDX from KS9Q.
All right, thank you, Jim. And yeah, we'll see. Hopefully everybody comes back next month. I should be in a good situation to run the net, but I guess that's never a given. That's going to no. The next month is not my week for overtime, so I'll be here no matter what. I guess election day might be a little bit of fun. Just got an email from the Space Weather Prediction Center. Don't have opportunity to really read it right now, but that means we're receiving something from the sun, so I'll have to look into that. But I will say that this concludes the 2 a.m. net, and we will meet again on the 12th of November. And of course it's hard to believe that we're that far into this year again, but we are. Until then, this is KC9UDX 7-3, and good night.